This next story is connected to the story we did yesterday about Katie Hobbs, the Arizona Secretary of State, who basically is having her constitutional right to defend not legislation, but lawsuits, election lawsuits. She's had that removed by Republicans in the state of Arizona as a part of the ongoing effort to either overturn the results of the 2020 election or make sure that Republicans never lose again. In addition to that effort, we've seen Republicans across the country roll back the very voting policies that they enacted to help their voters in the past. For example, voting by mail. In many states, Republicans jumped at the opportunity to institute voting by mail because they knew it would help their aging base to continue to vote for them. Now that they've seen that Democrats and minorities, black folks, have effectively used voting by mail to kick them out of power, they want to get rid of it. Here's a clip of a top Republican and Trump supporter from the state of Arizona, the same state as Katie Hobbs, who's facing that issue right now. Here he is saying that voting by mail is lazy and that people need to get off their asses and go vote. Let's take a listen in.
If you can't get off your fisteris, I'm going to quote my grandfather, you can't get off your fisteris and go down there and
Look
vote.
that word up.
Okay, I think it's made up. My grandfather, he was a Sicilian. Okay, if you can't get off your butt and go down and vote on 3 weeks early voting, or if you can't stand in line on election day, I'm offended by that. Because here's the thing, how much American blood and treasure was spent on allowing or giving an Iraqi woman the first time to vote for their entire life. And by the way, we had American troops guarding and protecting those voters standing in line. And how did they vote? They put their finger in ink and they put it on the ballot. They risked their lives to go vote. We spent American blood and treasure for that.
That's right.
And you can't get off your lazy ass and go and vote during early voting. You got to do it via mail.
I think it's tuchus in Yiddish, by the way.
It's tuchus in Yiddish.
So now all of a sudden, the very thing that they put into, they voted in favor for voting by mail. And now all of a sudden, oh no, wait a minute. Wait, you mean
because it
Negroes?
worked out for black folks.
You mean black folks get to vote by? Nah, that's lazy. All of a sudden it's lazy because we doing it, man.
No, he said
I hope
brown
one of them,
folks.
somebody cough. I hope somebody coughs in there.
Oh God,
they sit so close together.
But yeah, because somebody has to have it the way they're just literally like shoulder to shoulder like that.
Yeah.
But he was talking about anybody but white folks. Mm-hmm. Like he has a problem with brown folks having access to the ballots. He has a problem with black folks. It's because we turned out in numbers recently. And because we no longer wanted Donald Trump in the White House, we wanted something else. And we started during the pandemic, we started educating our parents, our aunties, our grandmothers,
everybody
grandfathers about local elections. And especially here in Georgia, and we were able to get those seats changed. So they started figuring out how powerful we are. I mean, we already knew, but they always try to act like we're not. So they'll try to make a law or a rule against us. And what do? We figure it out. Like, we're like, okay, let's just,
the game y'all playing.
If we just show up and have some food on the scene, we'll find, they want to do the mail-in. If we just sit down for a few days, educate our parents or those who don't speak English or whatever on how to get this done, then we can do that too. We'll let them know where the ballot boxes are, or what time, or when the due date is. And we're going to rally and we're going to go out and mobilize and all this good stuff. And is that not what we did? We did. Yep. So they want, and we made a thing out of it. We danced to the pose. We twerked to the pose.
They did. Remember that?
We call lunch babe to the pose. All kinds of stuff. It was.
You remember that video? Get your booty to the pose. You remember that?
Yep. And like you did some videos to get to the polls. I know that we a lot of people were doing what needed to be done. We went from culture to culture. We went from generation to generation. We made sure everybody understood what was happening. And so whatever you throw at us in this time too, we're gonna figure it out. So it doesn't matter. But you locals and you people who sit here, like I said, people with high positions. You remember you guys were discussing that to me yesterday, that he has a position in Arizona, I believe. And for him to be able to have this kind of conversation for free. and just be giving it out. My God. And then try to use a big word or whatever. Who gives a damn? Like, we're going to make sure. I mean, it just shows how racist these people are. And they're leading places that have Black and brown people in them. So you can only imagine how those Black and brown people are treated. So it's like, if the leader says it's okay to be this way, then of course the community is going to feel that way as well. For the most part, that it's okay to treat them like that and that they deserve nothing here in America. It's just the weirdest thing, even though America doesn't even really belong to y'all white, clear folks. And,
well, that's the part. That's the part right there, right? Because the saying that people, a lot of my former friends to the left of me, I'm still friends with them even though they hate me, but they like to use this phrase all the time. You can't use, and it's not even just left. It's Black folks have said this too, right? And there's some truth to it. Here's a phrase. Here's a phrase. You can't use the master's tools to get rid of the master. Here's the thing. We have been using these tools to change what this country is since we've been given the tools to do it. It hasn't happened quickly, but it sure as hell has happened enough to scare these white supremacists to the point where they're like, hold on, let's get rid of these tools, right? And so it's not that I don't totally disagree with that statement that you can't use a master's tools to get rid of the master. But what I will say is you see them pulling these tools back. So you know it has power. You know it has impact. Every time we get some power, they find out like, okay, no, they learned how to vote this way. Let's take that back. Oh, no, they learned how early ballot or early voting. Let's roll that back. Oh, they have souls to the polls on Sunday. Let's get rid of Sunday voting. Let's pull that back. Oh, they done learned how to mail in and vote. Now they want to pull that back. That lets you know that what we can get done through voting is actually a threat to the system, or else they wouldn't be spending everything that they have to basically get rid of democracy. That's what they're doing at this point. They say, wait a minute. We didn't realize that when these founding fathers started this country and they set up this democracy, that it was going to actually help somebody other than rich white men. And now that we're in a generation where it's helping other people than rich white men, they're like, wait a minute. Wait. Are we really sure about democracy now? Let's get rid of all the opportunities to vote. Let's make it almost impossible. Let's make it easier for somebody to buy a gun than it is for them to vote. So for anybody who thinks like, for all the people who think that the most revolutionary thing that you can do is to abstain from voting, I look at how our enemies are responding to our voting. And that tells me that it literally is a threat to them because they're willing to burn down this democracy versus actually letting us vote. So you tell me where the real power can be, where the real power lies.